What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the PickSwap Media YouTube channel. My name is Sean Bernard as usual, and I'm excited to announce that for this video, we have partnered with WHOP.com, WHOP.com. WHOP is an all-in-one marketplace for sports communities and other digital products. If you're looking to find communities on all things sports, sports capping, sports betting, and sports fandom, head to WHOP.com/sports. They're the all-in-one digital marketplace, the Amazon of the future for digital products. I'm incredibly proud and excited to be partnering, so make sure to go check that out. You can click the link in our description and our comments. Thank you to WAP for sponsoring this video, and thank you to you guys for tuning in.
Going down the field, can they do it again? Yes, they can!
And the catch is made by Taj Washington. Touchdown, USC.
Blocked by Embiid! Timmy, yes!
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Beef Upfront podcast here on PickSwap Media. This is your host, Ryan Coyle, joined as always by Kevin Cannon for our weekly show, NFL Big Five Games of the Week. Obviously, at this point in the season, we're not getting to 5 games of the week anymore. It's kind of upsetting, but a great weekend lies ahead of us, Kevin, especially as Eagles fans. Conference championship weekend, a big weekend ahead. We got the Eagles versus the 49ers to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl, and we have the Chiefs versus the Bengals in the AFC to go to the Super Bowl for the AFC. So, very, very exciting weekend ahead. I think we got the 4 best teams as well. So, really excited to dive into this podcast. But as always, Kev, welcome back, and how are we?
Good. It should be a lot of fun games this weekend. Like you said, probably the 4 best teams remaining, so it should be good.
And we're coming off, I think, probably our best weekend on the show over the past few years that we've been doing it. We went a combined 7-1. I went 3-1 straight up. You went 4-0 straight up with your picks last week, and then 9-4 when you're including straight up against the spread and the total is what I went, and you went 10-3. So that's a combined 19-7 right there. We were giving out some good plays last week, so hopefully we can continue our little hot streak here into the conference championship, and then as well carry that over into the Super Bowl. So we will get right into it. We have the conference championships, as I said, starting both on Sunday, and we start with the NFC title game. You have the number 2 seeded 49ers traveling to Philadelphia to play the number 1 seeded Philadelphia Eagles. 3 o'clock kickoff on Fox. Eagles come into this one as 2.5-point favorites. Over-under is set at 45.5. Just because of how we usually break it down, where we just kind of go through our breakdown and then as well as our final score and the spread and the total and whatnot. Just because there's only 2 games, we threw in some touchdown score props. So before we get into the breakdown of the game, Kev, who do you got as your first touchdown score in this game?
I'm going Jalen Hurts plus 750. Jalen can run the ball in from anywhere, especially close to the goal line, whether it's QB sneak or just ad-libbing out of the pocket. I think the Birds showed last week that Jalen's healthy enough to run, and I think they continue that, giving him design runs to make sure the Niners are respectful of his legs.
I'm going to go with A.J. Brown, plus 950. Was held to only 3 catches for 22 yards last week against the New York Giants in that blowout victory. I don't really think they needed to use him that much last week as they ran for over 200 yards on the ground. I think they're going to target him early and often. You kind of saw it looked like he was like frustrated. I'm not sure if that was like injury related or lack of targets related. On the bench, though, at the end of last week's game, I think they're going to make it like a point of emphasis to satisfy him, make him happy, and get him the football. I think maybe even like a deep ball off the rip, kind of like we saw with Devontae Smith last week, and maybe has a chance to score on that. So give me A.J. Brown plus 950 for my first touchdown score. All right, and then we will go to an anytime touchdown score as well. You could use your same guy from before, but who's an anytime touchdown score for the NFC title game in your opinion?
Kind of piggybacking off you here, going A.J. Brown, anytime touchdown score plus 165, pretty much same reasons that you just said. He only had 3 catches last week, seemed a little frustrated. I think the Eagles try to get him involved early and often in this game.
I'm going to go with George Kittle plus 185 here. If there's one player I'm worried about most in the passing game, I think it's him. I'm confident in our corners on their receivers. Debo and Ayuk are very good players, but they do a lot of their damage with the ball in their hands after the catch. If we're able to just lock them up kind of in coverage, not allow them to get that yak, that would definitely be one of the keys to this game. But I am worried about Kittle a little bit in the middle of that defense, especially if Avonte Maddox doesn't play. You got Gardner Johnson now, not really playing safety as much. He's playing I think he's been playing a lot of nickel. I kind of like George Kittle's advantage over Marcus Epps and Reed Blankenship and even some of the linebackers that might get thrown on him. So I could see him finding his way into the end zone. And he's been playing his best football of the season with Brock Purdy in the lineup. So George Kittle plus 185 for an anytime touchdown score. All right, now we'll go into our game breakdown and prediction. Kev, who's winning the NFC and who is going to the Super Bowl here?
I'm going 49ers 23, Eagles 21. 49ers cover the 2.5 and the under at 45.5. And I came into the playoffs with a bracket of like the Super Bowl and the playoffs consistent of the Chiefs and Niners in the Super Bowl. I do not like changing my original pick because there's reasons I made those picks in the first place, and I don't like changing them. I hope I'm wrong and the Birds play an amazing game in advance. But both teams are great and have playmakers all over the field. I saw Jonathan Gannon interview today, and he was saying how like it doesn't surprise him that everyone's talking about the Niners and how great they are because we're down to the final four teams here. Of course, they're great, and everyone's great at this point. Everyone has great players on both sides of the ball. With that being said, I think the Niners will be able to have some success in the run game. The Eagles' weakness this year has been in the run game and over the middle of the field, which kind of plays into the strengths of the Niners, like you were saying earlier, with George Kittle over the middle. The Eagles' strong suits are on the outside, but not as deep in the middle with their linebackers. I do think the Eagles' offense will be able to move the ball, but they need to be methodical about it. I don't think it's going to be a bunch of home run hitting plays. The Niners have playmakers on all three levels, but outside of Bosa, their pass rush isn't truly scary. There's no one truly outside of him who gives you a lot of like pressure on the quarterback. I do think Hurts is going to need to show that he can be accurate, patient, and use his legs as well, though. And in order for the Eagles to win, they need the pass rush to get to Brock Purdy. He hasn't faced a pass rush like the Eagles all season long, and it's still a very short career he's in. Another key to the game is turnovers, and whoever wins that battle, I think, will likely win the game. I think Purdy's shown that he can be trusted, and he won't be the reason the Niners lose. Like I said earlier, I had the Niners before the playoffs, and I hope I'm wrong here, but I'm sticking with them.
Yeah, I had coming into the year, my Super Bowl pick was, or my NFC Championship pick was 49ers and Eagles, and I had the 49ers actually hosting in that game, and I had them beating the Eagles, moving on to the Super Bowl. So little pat on the back there for myself. And then coming into the playoffs, my bracket, I had Bengals versus 49ers, but I'm going to flip that pick in the NFC, and I will take Philadelphia here to win 23-20. So Eagles minus 2.5, under 45.5. And I really think, Kev, this is one of those whoever has the ball last type of games has the chance to win. I think it's really going to be a close back and forth. It seems like these two, for most of the season, have been on a collision course. Then you throw in Jimmy's injury. A lot of people backed off the 49ers. You throw in Jalen's injury. A lot of people backed off the Eagles. But here they are, the two clearly most talented teams in the NFC, finding a way to meet up. But like I said, I'm just going to have to pivot off that 49ers prediction from before and go with Philadelphia here being at home. Over the last 10 NFC title games, the home team is 7-3 in those games. The home field advantage element of this just plays such a big role in the outcome in my prediction, especially after what we saw the Eagles do last week with the 38-7 victory over the Giants, and then back in 2017 as well against another backup quarterback in Case Keenum. Here are some other trends when doing some research on this one to watch for. Eagles are 10-0 this year when they hold their opponent below 20 points on the season. The 49ers are only 2-3 when they score below 20 points. So maybe if this game is like a 20-17 game, the Eagles have a better chance of winning, which sounds kind of weird just because of how good the 49ers defense has been, but their offense can explode as well. And the secondary isn't that strong. It's really the front like seven, I guess, of the defense is what is really the strong suit on this 49ers defense. I'm leaning with this game being more of a defensive battle, two of the best defenses in the league and two really good offenses as well. But in these tighter matchups, I'm going to lean towards a lower scoring kind of affair. I think the key is, like you were kind of saying, Kev, going to come down to the turnovers and whether Brock Purdy is flustered by the environment and the pass rush of the Eagles. I'm taking the Eagles' interior defensive line over the 49ers' interior offensive line. And if the combination of Fletcher Cox, Javon Hargrave, Jordan Davis, Milton Williams, able to make life hell up the middle for the rookie and consistently just push him out of the pocket where Josh Sweat and Hassan Reddick are athletic enough to chase him down there on the edge, I think that's going to be the main turning point in this game. I think it's also key for the Eagles to be able to get ahead early and make Brock Purdy throw it 40 times, make him beat you. I don't think he has the capability to come into Lincoln Financial Field and win. We've been talking about it since he's gotten to the lineup. He's going to hit a wall at some point. As Eagles fans, there's no better place for him to hit that wall than this Sunday. I think he hits that proverbial wall, the dream run comes to an end, and the Eagles move on to their second Super Bowl since 2017. So give me 23-20, Philadelphia Eagles advance. All right, now the AFC title game. The third-seeded Bengals at the number one-seeded Chiefs, 6:30 on CBS. Bengals minus 1.5, over under 46.5 in this one. Who's your first touchdown prediction in this one, Kev?
I'm going Travis Kelce plus 700. He's Mahomes' favorite weapon. I think he's going to go to him often because of his potential lack of mobility, and it leads to the first TD.
I'm going to go with the tight end, but I'll go with the Bengals tight end. I'm going to go Hayden Hurst plus 1,800. A bit of a long shot dart throw, but scored last game, and in the previous game against the Ravens, the first game of the playoffs, he had a touchdown that was ruled short, and it was overturned eventually. That would have been 2 touchdowns back-to-back games, and it looks like he's been kind of getting this is his first year there, but he's been getting like really comfortable in that offense, and he's starting to make a pretty good role for himself, and no better time down the stretch. So plus 1,800 for a guy who scored last week and then was a yard away from a touchdown the week before. He's getting a lot of targets recently. Like I said, a long shot play at plus 1,800, but throw $10 on that. That's a nice little $180 payout. So give me Hayden Hurst there as my first touchdown score. How about an anytime touchdown score?
I'm going Isaiah Pacheco plus 145. I think he's going to be a big part of the Chiefs' offense and finds the end zone in the game on the ground or through the air.
I'll go with the running back too, but I will take the Bengals running back, Joe Mixon at plus 105. The Chiefs have the second worst red zone defense in the NFL when it comes to allowing touchdowns. I think if the Bengals are able to methodically work the ball down the field like they've been doing for most of the playoffs, get it around the goal line within the 5, I like his chances to get a touchdown on 1 or 2 carries. So Joe Mixon plus 105 there is my anytime touchdown score. All right, now time for your game breakdown and prediction for the AFC title game. Who will be going on to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl, Kev?
I'm going Chiefs 24, Bengals 23. So the Chiefs covering the 1.5 and the over of 46.5 hidden. This is another pick I made before the playoffs. I had the Chiefs. Obviously, Mahomes' injury last week was not factored into that when I made the pick. I do think the Chiefs' offense will become more about getting the ball out quick and in the hands of their playmakers. The Chiefs' offensive line is also good enough to handle the Bengals' pass rush, in my opinion, and keep Mahomes upright. The Bengals need to force Mahomes to move around, move out of the pocket, make him uncomfortable, and test that ankle out. I did see a video of him at practice today on Twitter, and he did look pretty good. He was skipping, jogging around, and his ankle, it was a faraway video. It didn't look super taped up, but we'll see how he looks on Sunday. Joe Burrow's track record against Mahomes is very impressive and not a fluke at all. The Bengals can very easily win this game if they protect Burrow, and even if they don't, he's proven before that he can still win, even with the pressure in his face and being sacked a bunch of times. The Chiefs' defense is also not stellar, but they always seem to make a play when needed. They are aware that they need to pick up the slack with Mahomes injured as well, and the Chiefs have found a new weapon in Isaiah Pacheco. And I expect to see a lot of him in the running game and catching balls out of the backfield. And Travis Kelce is always a headache and always seems to be open no matter what. Defense is going into the game planning in for him, and it just never seems to work. So I'm rolling with the league MVP, fending off the Bengals in their pumpkin jerseys at home to go to their third Super Bowl in the past couple of years.
I'm going to go with the opposite pick here as well, Kev. So we both have different picks. I have a Bengals-Eagles Super Bowl. You have a 49ers-Chiefs rematch from just a few years ago. I'll go Bengals 27, Chiefs 24. So Bengals minus 1.5, over under 46.5. You touched on it a lot, but a lot of this game is going to come down to the health of Patrick Mahomes. But each of Joe Burrow's 3 victories over Mahomes, it has been a 3-point victory by an exact margin of 3. And it has gone over this total every time as well, 46.5. So kind of like that trend to continue there. Last week, the Bengals extended their record on the season. I came into last week talking about their magic number was 24. They were 10-0 going into last week when they scored 24 or more. Last week they had 27 on the Bills, so they are 11-0 when they score 24 or more points this year. Meanwhile, the Chiefs, on the other hand, are 1-2 this season when you hold them to under 24 points. Pretty crazy. They've only been under 24 3 times the entire year, but you hold them to a lower scoring game, it's not really looking in their favor. That ankle, though, with Mahomes, I'm very worried about it. It's like a 4 to 6 week injury typically, those high ankle sprains. And former players have been saying he's going to be on crutches all week. I saw a stat the other day as well. He led the NFL with out-of-the-pocket passes this year, I believe, with 113 on the season. So that's going to be tough, especially against a very, very good Bengals defense that's been playing lights out. And I think their pass rush could give the hobbled Patrick Mahomes some issues. On the other hand, though, 75% Mahomes is still like a top 10 quarterback, but I'm worried he's going to be more at like 50, 60 type percent in this one. And I think this is a game where the loss of Tyreek Hill finally shows up and is magnified because the Chiefs just can't sit there and be able to dink and dunk like they used to be with some of the plays where I know Tyreek Hill, great downfield threat, but he also had the ability to, you throw him a 5-yard slant and he turns it into a 75-yard touchdown. They don't really have that much explosion on this offense compared to the past. I think that's going to be a big problem for them in this one. And I also think the Bengals wide receivers pose a lot of problems for the Chiefs secondary, and they're in for a good day in this one. The major difference, though, I'll say, Bengals red zone offense is the 5th best in the league, and the Chiefs are the 31st best in the league when it comes to red zone defense. The Bengals aren't that explosive as they were last year, and that's mainly due to the injuries on the offensive line right now. But they have found like a pretty good new system where they're able to just kind of methodically move the ball down the field with chunk plays. If they're able to just get into that red zone area with that 5th best red zone offense against this poor Kansas City Chiefs red zone defense, I think that could make the difference and punch their ticket back to the Super Bowl. So give me Bengals 27, Chiefs 24, continuing that 3-point winning margin. Bengals getting over 24 points, going to 11-0 when they score more than 24, covering that 1.5 and over 46.5 hidden. But even though we both went opposite ways, I'm still expecting great games this weekend. Like we touched on at the beginning of the show, Kev, I think these are the best 4 teams. The Bills really down the second half of the season didn't look that good, and the Chiefs have just been really good all year, as well as the Eagles. 49ers have picked it up as the year has gone along, and the Bengals have really turned it on. So should be some great conference championship games. But any last second comments before we head out and our last episode before the Super Bowl?
Now, kind of just like you were saying, it should be a really fun Sunday.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone, for tuning in. As always, please like, subscribe, share, and we will talk in 2 weeks, I guess, for the Super Bowl. Hopefully, the Eagles will be in it again. Thank you, everyone, for listening. We'll talk soon.